All right, let's talk about giving feedback. And I know you've received a lot of great instruction about how to give effective feedback. I want to talk feedback a little bit more from a communication and linguistic standpoint. The big one here is to replace but with and. And I hear coaches say this all the time. Positive, 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 but, and then they'll give the feedback. What happens when people hear but is, for many people, the hammer drops and it invalidates everything you just said. It's just as true, but when they hear but, it's like, oh, except, and then they only focus on the negative. Instead, I want you to try using and. Positive, 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 and go into your feedback. That's an addition, not a subtraction. So look at your feedback, listen to your feedback. Can you replace but with and? Things are just as true, but people tend to be more open to receiving that feedback. The second thing when it comes to feedback, I want you to frame your feedback verbally in terms of what that person values. So if I know that an athlete needs to change weight classes, they need to go down, they're not going to want to hear that. I'm going to phrase it in terms of what they value. So if I'm working with an athlete and I say, hey, I know you really want to have great success in this next meet. We're doing the work to get you there, and for this meet only, I think it would benefit you if we shifted you down a weight class. So when you speak in terms of what other people value, it makes it very difficult for them to disagree with you because that feels incongruent. So frame your ask or your feedback in terms of what's important to them, what they value, because it's going to leave them open to receiving it. So when you give feedback, the last thing that I want to mention is the importance of person-first language. Whenever you criticize, make sure you're criticizing the behavior, not the person. There's a speech-language pathologist that I work with, and I used to say in the context of a school setting, I would say, oh, they work with a population of autistic children. And she said, no, Betsy, it's actually really important that you say children with autism. So it's not autistic children, and the autism gets priority. It's children with autism. These are young people who have a diagnosis of autism. So when you criticize or when you categorize, are you speaking to the person, the individual first? And when you criticize, are you isolating the specific behavior, separating out for them, especially young athletes, the behavior from who they are as a person, making sure that that person is always respected and treated with the utmost integrity, and that it's the certain isolated issue or behavior that we're looking to shift or change, and then articulating why it will benefit them. That part's huge. When we give feedback, we need to give it to someone in a way that they also understand you're not just doing this or changing this because I say so, but because it stands to benefit you in these ways. So articulating that value, pulling that thread through for the individual. That's it in terms of feedback. Let's move to the next section.